The topic of discussion for this video is Singapore company wind up or liquidation guide. So I will give you overview of what wind up is and what are the key steps involved in this. The agenda is what is the winding up of a Singapore company, what are the types of winding up, what is the role of liquidator in winding up process, how long does it take for winding up the company operations in this manner, and what are the key differences between winding up versus strike off. Now, before I begin this, I will highlight that winding up is not a natural choice in most of the cases. In majority of the circumstances, company will prefer strike off where possible, and especially small and medium companies will definitely go for strike off. Winding up will be preferred only in case the company is insolvent and cannot pay its debts. So just to recap, there are two options for the closure of the company. So the first option is strike off of the company. This can be done when company is solvent and it's more a simpler and less costly option. And the second option is winding up, and this is exercised when company is insolvent and a liquidator needs to be appointed for this process. So in this video, what we are looking at this winding up option in greater details. So winding up itself can be of three types. The first of them being members voluntary winding up. So members voluntary winding up means when the company directors and shareholders decide that they don't want to keep the company live and want to close down, but the company is capable of paying all its debts within next 1 year. In that case, this option can be exercised. The reasons for members voluntary winding up can be many. For example, the declining industry, less demand, declining sales, or change in the technology. There are many reasons why a company may lose its position in the market and why members may proceed for this. The second one is creditors voluntary winding up. This is a situation when company cannot pay its debts to the creditors and voluntarily decides to close down the operations and distribute whatever sales proceeds are from the assets of the company among the creditors. Now keep it in mind, in every winding up process, liquidators needs to be appointed, but these two are voluntary. And the third type of winding up is called compulsory winding up, where an external party can apply to the court that a specific company is not paying the debts or amount owed, and therefore court should issue an order to wound up the company. So that is a compulsory winding up. In case of voluntary winding up, the process is administered primarily by the directors of the company which is being wound up. Whereas in case of compulsory winding up, the initiator of the process is the court order. That is why I have shown this in a yellow color to differentiate from two other types of winding up. So one key person who is appointed during this winding up process is a liquidator. So what is the role of this liquidator? Basically, this liquidator will sell or dispose of all the assets of the company. He will then gather details of all the liabilities of the company, and then the liquidator will work out the distribution of assets. So I am showing here one example. Let's say that one company is going for liquidation and it has 6 or 7 assets as listed on the asset side, the total value of which is 520,000 Singapore dollars. And the company also has some loans taken from external parties, and the total liability value of those loans is 640,000 Singapore dollars. Obviously, all the liabilities cannot be made out of the assets of the company. So in this case, liquidator will collect all these details, dispose of the assets, and then will work out the ratio of distribution, which in this case will be 520,000 divided by 640,000, that is 81.25%. That means every party who is a creditor of this company will get 81.25% of its outstanding amount. So in this case, where it is liability loan Z, $100,000, they are going to get 81,250 Singapore dollars as a complete settlement. So basically, realizing the assets of the company in cash terms and distributing it to the creditors is the role of the liquidator. So, how much time this process will take? So, one key thing to note here is for the winding up, there is no requirement to publish anything in the official gazette, but there is a requirement to put an advertisement in the newspaper. So once the liquidation process starts, the official liquidator will publish an advertisement in Singapore newspaper informing everybody that such and such company is undergoing liquidation, and if third party has any claim they can lodge it with liquidator's office. Once the advertisement is placed, it entirely depends upon the complexity of the company operations. If the company is very large and there are many creditors and lot of assets, then it can well take over 1 year duration. Whereas in case of simple companies, it can be done over a period of 2 months also. Here I will show you now three key differences compared to the strike off process. So strike off process is primarily self-managed, whereas winding up is managed by the liquidator. You need to appoint a liquidator. Strike off process therefore obviously is less costly, whereas winding up will be more costly. Strike off process can get delayed if objections are filed by the external parties. You might expect that the process will get over in 5 months. However, if the objections are raised every time, then the strike off process may get cancelled, and as a result, you might not be able to close the company. So, in a way, in strike off, the outcome of closure is not guaranteed. Of course, it does not happen like that for many small companies, but if the company is large and filing for strike off, the objections can be many. Whereas in case of winding up, the outcome is guaranteed. Once the liquidator has prepared his summary accounts and distributed the assets to the creditors, then there is no objection anybody can file. So, in summary, winding up of the company is a different process compared to strike off. Normally, insolvent companies or the large organizations will prefer to go for winding up, whereas other solvent small entities will prefer the strike off process.
Thank you for watching this video. This video was brought to you by Epica Consulting Singapore. Subscribe to our channel today to get notified when new videos are posted.